Well, well, well. Look who's back. Hello, happy to see you again. Welcome to cBasAfterDark. You'll notice things are a little different, but hey, shit, it's a new year and things are supposed to be a little different, I think. Whether or not they'll be better is anybody's guess. What's up, everybody? In the event you are a viewer who has seen this show before, God bless you for coming back. In case you're a person who's just kind of stumbled onto the show, well, welcome. Hopefully I can handle and hold your entertainment attention for a little while. Anyway, here's what this situation is. This is an overnight talk show, I guess. I have not done the math, nor have I opened the show in the traditional way. This should indicate to you that things are a little more... things are a little unusual. So I guess the word I'm looking for there. That should indicate to you that this is a little spontaneous and I'm a little out of sorts. I'm a little bit rusty, maybe even. But originally, the idea for this show is just to keep up my broadcasting chops, I guess, maybe, in the event that I can come back and scratch that creativity itch that I truly feel. Hence the reason for graphics like this, which are obviously way overcompensating for the quality of this show. That's probably pretty sad. Anyway, here's what the show's going to be like. It's going to be like it was before. I don't know if I'll do Sunday night every week. The original idea was 5 hours a week, 4 shows, one of them 2 hours, or 2 of them 90 minutes, kind of a thing. Good Lord, that's I don't know if that was a big enough picture of me. I kind of would like a bigger picture of me, and I'm not sure this is large enough font size either. Anyway, yes, so Monday night was what? Nerd News Monday, right? Game Show Tuesday, Media Watch Wednesday. I was never super fond of that. And then Anything Can Happen Thursday, which is a nicely stealable thing from The Big Bang Theory, and also, oh, good Lord, and also happened to fit my needs as a kind of catch-all category that would let me do just about anything. I did this show last year. It was initiated because of that story of the guy who worked for a local TV news station. And I think it was in Texas, but I'm really not sure. And I think he was a graphics guy. He wasn't even really a journalist in the true sense of the word, I don't think. Anyway, he ended up killing himself and putting a whole bunch of... This was a much less famous story than the guy who went up to the people during the live shot of the TV news interview and killed the reporter and killed the photographer and then later killed himself, if I remember right. No, this is different from that story. Anyway, the reason I started this was to kind of tell that story because it was a very compelling story, which lost me about halfway through. Because the guy lost. I was totally on the side of this guy, having been fired for, and then it turned out he had done some slightly shady, if not just weird things at the TV news station. And so it turned out not only should he probably have been fired, he probably needed some serious mental help. Obviously, he needed some serious mental help. He killed himself on the front steps of it, or like the headquarters of Fox News in New York, maybe, or something like that, to try and gain attention for his story. And it never caught on. Sadly, it's a pretty sad story. And ultimately, it did not come out favorable for him. But it was the reason this show got started in this form. I'm doing it a little later than I usually do it. I'm way out of practice. But I think I'll pick it up again quickly. Again, I'm in my data center now instead of actually being in the studio that I had previously done the show in for so long. A whole bunch of things contributed kind of all at the same time to me kind of doing the show. And the truth be told, I don't even remember the last time I was on this airwave type broadcasting. It's been a while. But I'm not going to bother with too much garbage, although really this entire show is going to be kind of garbage, me picking up where I left off. And watching my nice animation over and over and over again. This will improve. There were supposed to be 2 versions of it that went back and forth, and only one of them mixed down for some reason. Thank you, Final Cut Pro. But I'm happy to have this. That came out. I'm glad with how this came out. My joke earlier aside about the font size, I kind of like how this whole thing works. The last afterthought really was this moon going behind the letters, but I think that's kind of one of my favorite things about it now. Anyway, there's some things I want to show you. This, by the way, as I say, the data center part of the broadcast, the new part for 2016. I actually conduct many of my English classes here. If you didn't know that, I am an English teacher for students online. Adult learners, mostly adults, occasionally teenagers, I guess, of English. Adult learners of English on the internet from every country in South and Central America that you can think of, occasionally Spain. I've had 2 students from Istanbul, Turkey, and 1 from Vietnam. One of my students was in Vietnam once. That is a little bit stranger for me because I speak a pretty good Spanish, but I speak pretty bad Vietnamese and certainly no Turkish. So the fact that they're coming to me for English is a much kind of scarier ordeal or scarier prospect, I guess I'd say, than being able to meet the beginner Spanish-speaking students halfway, which I sort of can do with my shitty Spanish. But I make fun of my shitty Spanish, and it indicates to them that I'm kind of a student in the opposite direction when it comes to Spanish. And I think that kind of bonds us in a weird way, in our kind of ignorance, essentially. But in our well-meaningness, that's the thing I love about most of my students is they're so incredibly good-hearted and well-meaning and well-mannered, like they're really awesome, very polite and funny, and like truly trying to improve themselves. And I truly get that, and it somehow resonated with me in a way I never thought it would. This is my station, a Bazinga. This is actually from one of my games. The thing I've been doing on this computer in a lot of my spare time, rather than putting a webcast that I don't want anybody to watch together, is that I've been building these games for my students. I'll show you briefly. Maybe I'll show you briefly if I can grab the right mouse. Okay, I'm going over here. It's essentially a Jeopardy game. There are many generators of games on the internet for educational purposes. It may be a Jeopardy game generator. Oh, good Lord. What is going on? Okay. Let's see. So yes, this is what my students see. Right or right. That's one of the category names. My God, McAfee, you are dramatic and annoying. Okay, right or right, purr, bark or chirp, continents, time, expressions, all of these categories and more we will be dealing with today in the Open English Game Show. I was not authorized to build this, but essentially I have a contract that I think says anything I create when I work for Open English with this contract belongs to them. Kind of anything I write, create in any way, shape, or form, kind of a deal. And it's fine. I mean, I'm not going to be creating anything now anyway that I can't let them have. But I think this is pretty good. I do get the sense that not many other teachers are doing stuff like this. And the truth is, this is what I was doing when I was in Mexico. This is kind of an updated, polished up version a little bit. But yes, okay, right or right for $10. A, right, or B, right. I have the blank to freedom. A or B, because you can't just say right, obviously. It's an all audio class. And the answer is right. So, okay, a legal entitlement, as in the phrase human rights. So this is how it works. Purr, bark, or chirp for $10. Does a bird purr, bark, or chirp? A bird, of course, chirps. We can also say birds tweet, sing, or squawk, and so on. This is the game I have been building for my students. This is the 7th, actually, variation of it. Aha, now we have hit the bonus question, worth not $20, but $40. Does a feline purr, bark, or chirp? A feline purrs, and here you see a picture of my favorite cat from the internet, the Grumpy Cat. And I know it's not her name. Bothers me that people who know her name make a big deal about calling her Grumpy Cat. I'm sorry, that is what she is famous for looking like, and that is going to be her de facto name, her fame name, her broadcast name. A parakeet chirps, a dachshund barks, and the last but not least, purr, bark, or chirp. Does a Manx purr, bark, or chirp? And the answer is, if you know a Manx is a cat, you know a Manx purrs. Some have a small tail, many have no tail at all. All right, and so on. Continents for $40. Continent 4, they're numbered. I don't know if you can see, but continent 4 is clearly Europe. Time expressions. Oh, I do like this one, actually. Before, now, or in the future. What's the meaning of at the moment? Now, of course. I'm studying English at the moment. This is one of my favorite ones. For the $50 questions, I usually make them do double the work. So for part 1, a while ago, in a while, for a while. I'll spend 30 minutes watching TV. I'll watch TV for a while. I will spend 30 minutes for a while. And then the second one, 30 minutes from now, I will watch TV. I'll watch TV in a while. And I played this with a group of students just yesterday. And he got the first one, but not the second one. So I kind of like that. Because I don't like it when they get all of them correct, and I don't like when they get none of them correct. I like it to be a good mixture, and I usually manage to hit that. Before, now, or in the future. What's the meaning of the time being? Again, now. The time being is now. I'm on vacation for the time being. For now, but not forever, huh? And so on, and so on, and so on. This is my Open English game show, which is, of course, copyright Open English 2016, all rights reserved. We will sue your asses off if you attempt to steal my game. This is cBas After Dark. I'm cBas. And we are doing a show now on 12 o'clock midnight on the west coast of the United States. Let's see. What time is it GMT right now? I don't even know. That is what I referred to earlier when I said I'm not opening the show in the traditional way. Because usually my first words out of my mouth, and this is not an accident, the first words out of my mouth are, it is 12 o'clock midnight on the west coast of the United States, and it is blank GMT. What is the GMT time? Please. Okay, Sheldon's creeping me out here. It is 8:13. So yes, that's what I need to start getting used to saying, is that it is midnight on the west coast of the United States. It is 8:13. No, it will be 8 a.m. GMT. And I wish I could have like a clock. I did not mean to actually. This is one of those things that I changed my desktop to by accident, and then didn't mind how it looked, so it's been on here for now a week. I sometimes hit that thing, make this picture my wallpaper, and I did not mean to do that. I just click it by accident, but all right. I've done it before, that same accident, and this is one of the best results of that ever. All right, what did I want to do? Yes, I have a gadget. It's going to be kind of a pre-Nerd News Monday because I have a gadget to show you. All it looks like is this. What is it? Well, you see here, this is a coax cable, a standard antenna is what this is connected to. And then it's a little dongle with a USB on the end, which I plug in. And then I run software, which is called WinTV. And we'll see that here. And yes, combined with the antenna and the dongle and the WinTV software, I think you can probably glean that what's about to happen next is live broadcast television on my desktop. There it is. I don't know what show this is, but I just dig the broadcast TV experience. I always have. Ever since I was a kid, let me hit mute on this. Ever since I was a kid, I've had like those handheld Casio TVs, right? The little one with the antenna that kind of comes up came up. That's very old school. I guess they probably still, even the new digital ones have that same thing. But aiming it so you can get a good signal, right? The different ways in which you have to aim it for the different channels and so on and so forth. And I even had a black and white little tiny TV when I was maybe, I don't know, not a young kid, but like when I was 14 or 13 or something like that. It was part of my first video camera setup, actually. Okay. Now I'm kind of doing the same thing, essentially, receiving rabbit ears television, only the options are far more. It's not just the regular channels that I used to get as a kid, but now it's the sub-channels of these channels, the digital other offerings, you know. I think that's a paid program. But let's see. Here's one called Laugh, L-A-F-F. The interesting thing about it is it has to buffer. It has to lock onto the channel, and then it has to buffer for a minute. And clearly this is one of the weaker channels. Weaker channels, it has a harder time buffering before it starts to play. Although there it goes. And again, I muted the audio, so there is sound. I just have it turned off. But I don't know. I'm big into it. Like, I'm big into it. The funny thing is that the software works as a DVR. So literally, any of these programs, it knows the channel and the time, and you can just click on the program and it'll record it. It's really quite something. If I had a complaint, and I do, about digital television, it is the following. And I think I've said this on the show before. It is the all or nothingness factor. There is kind of an all or nothing. You either have a signal or no signal. There is no kind of half signal that you can watch, really. In the olden days, when you had a regular analog TV broadcast signal, that's what happens, by the way. Is this the X-Files? No, can't be. This is that show Numbers. Looked like Mulder to me for a minute. Anyway, what was I saying? I was talking about broadcast TV and the all or nothing factor, right? And, you know, in the old days when you were trying to tune a TV station, there was better or worse. If there was a TV station signal that was like 60% there, you still could kind of watch that. You know, it was watchable. It might not have been Dreamland. It might have been dimmer colors. It might have been some lines through it or something, but it was watchable. Here, the signal won't even really come in until it's like 85, 90% solid. Maybe I'm pulling that number out of my ass a little bit, but I think it's you know, 80 to 85%, I guess, of the signal must be present in order for you to really be able to watch anything. According to my now third, fourth day playing with this. So I'm going to learn a lot more as time goes on. The software seems a little buggy, truth be told, and I'm learning to deal with that. Actually, I have two versions of the software. One of them is actually on the tablet that is broadcasting this, and the second is the one on this computer here. And I don't notice a whole lot of difference, although depending on, again, which antenna I'm using and which way it's aimed, I can pick up different stations. So it's not as easy to, you know, in the olden days, you did have to manipulate the rabbit ears, but here you kind of have to use, like I've got this antenna, which is the one it came with. It comes with a little antenna, right? And I assumed it would be crappy. In fact, I was told by my kind of tech guru geek buddy that it would, in fact, be shitty. And so I went to the store and thought I was going to drop like 20 bucks. I spent like 15 on a big flat antenna that suctions up to the window. And thinking, okay, there is nothing this is not going to pick up. Well, guess what? It actually picked up less on the first scan of channels than the tabletop one did, the little crappy one here. So, and then it depended on which, you know, way I had them turned. It's just been a real learning curve for sure. It's been a challenge, but, you know, hey, I'm a gadget geek. I'm into that challenge. And I'd like to know your thoughts. Tell me your thoughts. In fact, I'm going to make a graphic. Tell me your thoughts, because I'm going to be asking more and more for the counsel of people watching this, for better or for worse. I don't usually, in fact, I've never really done that before, is ask for your feedback. and not only include them on the air, but sort of really listen to them and try and get advice from people who might be smarter than me. So what are your experiences with cutting the cable, for one thing, stopping paying $250 a month for internet, phone, and 200 channels, or 800 channels that you don't watch, versus, or maybe one channel that you do watch sometimes, but is that worth $200 a month, kind of a thing, or even 120, like $120 a month. Let's say I'm trying to be a little less prone to exaggeration, but I still feel like your cable bill can be $120 to $200 a month. And if you're watching one channel sometimes, especially in this era of HBO Go, right? Where if I want HBO, I can get it on the desktop or on my phone. Or I think even on like a Roku box, you can get, if you have to subscribe to HBO Go, then you can get the Roku access and you don't have to have cable, right? That goes through the internet. And I just installed one of those for someone I know, and I'm sort of learning a little bit about that. And then I had experience of setting up the neighbor's Comcast DVR. That was an interesting experience, which I will talk about. Maybe I'll save that story for Nerd News Monday. But tell me your experiences. The phone number to text is here on the screen. As you can see, it is 310-776-5869, 310-776-COONS. Of course, you can text anytime. I am live on the West Coast at midnight, West Coast time, 8 a.m. GMT. And at least that is the plan for the foreseeable future. That may change depending on, this is the good news and bad news situation, right? The time may change, which I really am against, as far as trying to have regularity and consistency and be there, something that somebody can fucking check into and even watch a little bit of on a regular basis, at a regular time. I'm old school broadcaster that way, I think. And so I really do think there's value in trying to be on at the same time, same nights, which again, I was not as good at the last few months I had been doing this show last year. But I'm going to get better at it. I'm going to get better at a lot of things this year, I have a feeling. And I'm already excited. Oh, this game, by the way, the game that I showed you for my English students, I didn't really finish that story because the finishing of the story was me emailing it to my sort of supervisor, being like, hey, is there any value here? Like, I hate to try and be pushy or presumptuous or whatever the hell, but I feel like, this is a pretty cool game I have that I have reinvented for this school. Maybe other teachers might like it. And ultimately the response was, well, yeah. In fact, if you write a little thing about it, we'll include you in the company newsletter. So now I'm going to be in, I guess, the Open English teacher newsletter. And I think there's a few hundred teachers, if not more. So that's kind of what has been keeping me busy in the few months that I've not been away, or that I have been away, that I've not been on the air. Had a good Christmas. Had a good Thanksgiving. In fact, I think it was just before Halloween when I kind of trailed off doing this show. Oh dear. But anyway, I'm really digging. Let's watch another channel here. I don't know. This is Ion Television, which is the name of the network. But I do get, here is NBC. I don't think much is on NBC except paid programming or maybe some kind of syndicated something, commercials. And then PBS, ABC affiliate, the one I wanted to look at right now was CBS. Because CBS does an overnight news. I think it's just called CBS Up to the Minute or something like that. It's kind of really corny, goofy name. And of course, 13 is this one channel that comes in sometimes marginally, and sometimes better with this other little stupid antenna rather than the big expensive antenna. Well, isn't this just the greatest rehearsal I've ever had? All right, anyway, let's keep looking for other channels because it is cool. And, the funny thing is, here's PBS. Okay. There's PBS. No, it's buffering, and there's not enough signal for it to buffer, so it just kind of keeps trying. And sometimes you can click find channel, and sometimes you can't. Here's another network called Escape, which I think is like maybe mostly action shows and movies or something like that. It kind of seems like it's mostly. Anyway, and the other thing I found, sort of in conjunction with that, one of the things I realized I needed was a TV sort of guide that does broadcast stations, kind of old school now. And sure enough, there is one. It is titantv.com, but it does have the local stations. And so that's in the order that my stations are in on the tuner here. And you can even configure your own colors for the different bars. So I have purple as comedy, I have drama as black, science fiction is red. And actually, game shows are one kind of red, and science fiction are the other. Red is my favorite. Game shows are science fiction, of course. And then blue is usually news or some kind of documentary, or FBI files, unsolved mysteries, that kind of thing. And then sports turn brown, the poopiest brown color I was able to muster. CBS is doing overnight news. ABC does overnight news as of 1:30, or as of 12:30, sorry, Pacific time. So in the next 3 minutes, well, let's see what Channel 9 has on right now. Find channel 9.1. God, these contacts are killing me. If my eyes are all like weird, it's because my contact lenses are driving me nuts. It's her again. Hello. Buffering. Please continue to buffer. Please continue to enjoy my stalling for time here on cBasAfterDark at 12:27 Pacific Coast time and 8:27 GMT. My fan is turned off. My TV is not working. If I wiggle the antenna, it would, but I would rather just find a channel that will come in. Get TV. And then the two that are my favorites, one of them is Me TV and the other one is My TV. So there's a lot of black and white, a lot of 50s and 60s reruns of kind of stuff. And I don't know, the instinct I had was to say that, haha, old people, this is the only, old people will have this and you don't need to have cable. And so that's perfect for them, right? And it just happened to be a coincidence, but that was really kind of a mean-spirited thing to think, because the truth is there are some shows that I like on available broadcast TV. And, it's probably just that those shows have the cheapest rights to be able to purchase as far as playing reruns on TV. Because I think you have to be able to pay for the right to do that. Get TV. There is, let's see if I can make My TV. Come on, My TV. I'm sorry, Me TV is this one, 13.2 locally. Tuning, buffering. And then it says it has changed, although there is still nothing on there. So as you can see, it's not exactly perfect. Let's keep looking. What about My TV? Where is it? Oh, My 18. Right. Channel 18. My 18. This one should come in. Yeah, this one's usually pretty good. Okay. And that's the amazing thing, is I really can't get over how crazy high quality it is. I guess because of that factor I talked about earlier, where it is actually, only the strongest signals even get through it all. Look at this. I mean, the resolution is crazy for being broadcast. In fact, it may even be better, as the broadcast people kind of keep reminding you. Also, the antenna vendors, the people selling antennas on commercials and in other places, tell you that, and it may be true, but only they are really touting it, and it's this. Cable and satellite companies have to compress the signal so they can fit more. Hey, comedy TV, badass. let's just see what this is really fast. This is on broadcast television, so I don't know. I probably am absolutely breaking the law in even doing this. How do I mute or unmute the mute? There we go. Oh.
It's a good time to be Latino. I love it. You know, we're in the Supreme Court. I got to give my girls some props. We're going into space again. I know, it's great. We're going into space, which is really important to me. You know, we have a couple of astronauts going up soon. Mexicanos, I love it. Jose Hernandez. Yeah, from a migrant worker.
Jose Hernandez.
You know, this is a great country. You can see it too in the shot, you know, the crew shot. He's the smallest one with the mustache. He's cute. You reminded my mother with that mustache. That's so cute.
He reminds me of my mother with that mustache. Well, again, I don't think I probably should play much of this because it'll get me in trouble. But I do marvel at when you do get a signal, how crisp it is. Like, it's amazing. And only the broadcast stations seem to be touting the fact that, yeah, when you get it over the air, it may actually be a slightly better signal or a slightly better resolution because it's uncompressed in the way that cable companies and satellite companies compress shit. Also, here's another thing. Let me know what you think. The hair is looking raggedy. I'm aware of it. I'm hesitating on whether or not I need to cut it, trim it, or hang on for it to keep growing through the awkwardness. Because I know I've been through this before. And I know that there's an awkward phase, which I think I'm just on the verge of being out of. It's conditioned, you know, it's in good shape. But people say I'm a damn hippie. And I mean, whatever. Like, I don't care that people say that at all. Especially now that I'm no longer in the media. But, like, I don't know. I mean, I do actually think I look younger when I have shorter hair. So, and not that I'm the age that I am. Yeah. Now that I'm the age that I am, I'm interested in looking younger as much as possible. And we're going to another really good friend, one of my best, most long-term friends that I've ever had. 20 years worth of friendship, and he's turning 40 this year. So we got him a present. I think it's actually sitting over there. It is a bottle of mead, which is like that honey wine liquor, and some like disposable flasks so he can take them to the Renaissance Festival. That's what it is. And I don't know, it wasn't my idea, but I was in on it and totally into it the second I heard about it. So yeah, it was really good. And his birthday party is Saturday, so I will report. Maybe we'll even do a quick video from there, just so you guys can see that I, in fact, have friends and a social life, and I'm not the sad hermit that I do appear to be. Although I do have some pretty sad skin activity going on here. I don't know what this redness is. It seems to really show up mostly on camera. Like in the mirror, it's hardly noticeable, but now I'm going to have to start wearing makeup. I'm totally paranoid of these lines here. Like if I don't smile, it's fine. But the second I smile, it's like, oh my God, I really hate those. And everybody has them. This girl has them, you know, everybody has them. And HD is making it harder and harder to kind of hide such wrinkles and lines and so on. But I think, oh man, I'm actually aging and getting old. And so, yeah, the hair cutting thing is another thing I think about, trying to stay as young as possible. I may cut my hair by the end of the week, but I did want to have at least one show in the can showing you how long it really was, how close I was to getting out of the awkward phase. This guy's just a floating head. He has no body. Clearly, he's just wearing like a black shirt, but it's funny. Let's see what else is on. 11.2 has a comedy with Jerry Lewis called Boeing Boeing, as in the airplane company. Boeing. One of the things I will say is that Fox, I think it is, it has a sub-channel for broadcast stations that is all game shows. It's called Buzzer, B-U-Z-Z-R. And oh my God, like I was really excited to see that there was a game show broadcast network. I wish I could say that was what made me get this. No, I had just been kind of wanting one of these for a while, and finally found one at Best Buy. And clearly this movie is not going to play. Let's see, what else? What else? What about like Grit? Grit, I think, is mostly Westerns or old school action movies. Grit is buffering. Yeah, Grit is one of those channels that does not come in. And in fact, I think it just crashed the software, did it? For a minute there, it was not responding. Anyway, I still have the ability to do the full screen stuff like I did before. I just am trying to learn how to run essentially now 2 computers at the same time instead of just the one. And I'm not even using my phone during the broadcast right now, which is something I do want to try doing, which is Pandora. I always do that. Periscope. Okay, yeah, clearly this has died. Let's find another channel. So there's experimentation. I'm learning a lot about the advanced new broadcast TV signals. And the other thing is there's a website, antennaweb.org, which I think lets you determine the stations that you're in range of wherever you are in the country. Like I think they've got like GPS map stuff going on, and it's very cool. The weird thing is, I did not know this until I had a broadcast TV tuner receiver. This Ion Television does binge watching things. Like on Saturday, one of the sort of more guilty pleasures as far as TV that I like, and I like my share of crap. To prove that I'm an elitist, I frequently say I like a lot of shitty TV, like really bad TV. And this is it, Law & Order SVU, which is... like I say, it's one of my guilty pleasures, like Law & Order or Law & Order SVU, even the old Law & Order show I like. And Ion Television, this channel, actually did like, it felt like a 12-hour marathon. Like it was a long time. It was at least 8 hours because I had classes kind of throughout the day and afternoon, and all day Law & Order SVU was on. I'm like, damn, this is crazy. Like, do they do this every Saturday? Is this a special day or like a SVU holiday? Do they have such thing? Anyway, so yeah, Law & Order SVU. Ion Television, positively entertaining. I feel like this is one of the stations that used to be, but no longer is, like the God Squad, essentially, like one of those kind of God-related radio or God-themed stations, not TV televangelist type stuff, but just like, you know, Seventh Heaven, and they do the church shows on Sunday and that kind of thing. Like there's those kind of God-ish TV stations, and certainly God-ish radio stations. And I think Ion used to be that, like Seventh Heaven, just nothing but the marzipan of an acceptable, one might say boring, family programming, right? You know, I'm not knocking the Hallmark Channel or whatever the hell, but certainly there's a reason that, God, my contact lenses are driving me nuts. Give me a second here. Hang on, everybody. I've learned it grosses people out to remove contact lenses within their view. Oh, God, that makes me feel better. I sometimes forget that by midnight, I have been wearing contacts for hours and hours. Oh, boy, that changes the look entirely, doesn't it? Yeah, I need to cut my hair. I think I look really old and stupid with glasses and hair like this. But again, please let me know what you think. Text me here now or later. Even if you're watching this on a rerun, do text me and let me know, because by Friday I'm going to be tabulating and reporting back all of the votes. And I just say yes or no, you know, cut or no cut. But anyway, again, so I'm going to try and resume the show the way it had been. And what that means is Monday, Nerd News. And I've been collecting stories all this time with the same mechanism I used to use to, you know, every time I see a story go by in my feed, I'd flag it for the show, you know. Every time I'd spot a game show that I wanted to play on Game Show Tuesday, it was like, you know, I'd make note of it. And I've been making notes and notes and notes. So I've got tons of notes saved up, dying to be brought to you. And I've not organized them yet, but in a way that's kind of like, I think, a good thing. I'm totally just going to bring them to you kind of in the order I'd saved them. And some of that would be even 2 months old. Live TV. Let's find another channel. How about the PBS World channel? Sometimes there's like Japanese news or German news on this World channel. Sometimes they do reruns of like Nature. or Nova, that kind of thing. Frontline, I think. Well, kind of makes you miss the graphic of my name and the name of the show from before, doesn't it? No, is that what I hear you say? Well, guess what? We're doing it anyway. Because, hey, I spent a lot of money on this. No, I didn't spend any money on it. I made it myself in Final Cut Pro. Although I have something similar that I play in the first 10 minutes of my English classes. And it has my name and picture, and it has, where I'm from. And then it has like temperatures from South America. I put weather. I update it every couple of weeks. Like a little quote about January. January opens the box of the year, blah, 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 blah. And it kind of slides onto the screen in the same way this, does this. It's like a 9-minute video. I could even show it, I guess. It doesn't really matter. You won't see much, I don't think, on the screen. The screen does not come across on here as well as I thought that it would. So again, it's going to be a learning process doing this show from the data center rather than from kind of really was the auxiliary studio I had been doing it in all this time. I just didn't have a main studio that I liked, so I did the auxiliary studio, and that became kind of my home. And also I'm aware, my glasses are not doing well either. I'm aware that every time I sit back, I'm completely off camera. So I'm going to try and be aware of that, but at the same time, I'm going to try and figure out a way to make it a little more comfortable, where you can see the screen, where I can see you, where I'm still within reach of control, but I can still control this thing. Oh, hell, I don't know. I do have a lot of game shows. That's the thing about Game Show Tuesday. So look forward to that. I think I might do the next 4 Game Show Tuesdays of all unsold pilots. I might do 3 pilots per Game Show Tuesday on cBasAfterDark here. And actually, like, really do it up, really make an event out of Tuesday night. Unsold Pilot Night on Game Show Tuesday. And if you are familiar at all with this show, you know that Game Show Tuesday featured many, many tips from my friend Chris, who's my really good friend, who knows, I think he might be the only person in the world who knows more about game shows than me. But he knows a lot more about game shows than me, and I know a lot. So it's really amazing. He's like a guru, and he has all these links to stuff and amazing sort of sources to find things. He's gotten me into more than a couple of the really awesome British game shows that there are now. And then, like, he sent me a Hungarian or Finnish version of a British game show. Literally a Hungarian version, I think, of a British game show called The Cube. And God, it was awesome. And we may check that out this Tuesday for Game Show Tuesday on the 20th of January. And as I said, the time of the show may alter. I think I've picked a time when I'm mostly open, especially this week. But there are some times when I do have classes at midnight. So on those nights, I will either do the show early or late, I guess, potentially. But here's what I'm thinking. I'm going to make an iCal download so you can just see when the show is going to be live. It may vary from week to week. And the only way you'll be able to see when the show is live is by checking the iCal calendar. But that's the great thing about this modern age we live in, is I can do that kind of Google Calendar trick, publish a link on the screen or on the description of the existing shows, and you can see when I will be live. When you can call in, shit. I mean, call this phone number if you really want to. I decided to focus more on texting because I feel like that's how people want to participate now. I don't know if you've done any listening to talk radio lately, or certainly reading about talk radio. Let's say it's a passing interest of mine, at least in part because I used to work not in talk radio, but in news radio. It's not the same thing, but I have an awareness of it. And one of the things that my talk radio friends tell me, and it makes enormous sense, think about what the shift has been. I wish I could use my cell phone. It's over there charging for like a hand prop. But how do people, what is the main function of cell phones these days? Is it talking voice on the phone? Or is it actually not talking voice, but texting in one form or another, either SMS texting or Facebook Messenger texting, or WhatsApp texting if you're international, or Skype, any one of these things. If you're doing any one of those things more than you are talking on the phone, and I certainly am, then the main function of this is no longer to talk on the phone with a voice channel. And as a result of that kind of slow change happening culturally, I think now more people are kind of wanting to, it's just sort of, now it's kind of distasteful or unattractive, or it makes you feel awkward or something to talk on the phone. And I think that's kind of what's happening with like the millennials, I guess, the people younger than me, who will text all goddamn day but won't even say a word out loud to those around them. This is, a descriptor I get of some teenagers, but like, I think that's kind of the result of this slow change from voice to texting. And I guess teenagers have been sullen and not wanting to talk for a long time, but they could not communicate before in this way, and now they can. So I don't know. I think it's going to be real interesting to see. But anyway, I was rambling for a second. What I was trying to talk about was talk shows, radio talk shows. The other end of that sort of phenomenon I was describing a second ago, more and more people only liking to text rather than voice call, is that the only people that do like to voice call are older and older and older. And the callers that you end up hearing on radio talk shows tend to be older, like sometimes very elderly people sounding. And not that they don't have something good to say, but that has a way of driving young listeners away. Just hearing old people kind of rah on the radio. I mean, if you're an old person and that hurts you, I'm sorry. I am right behind you, and I will be old and sounding like that myself very soon. So it's not me saying that. But I do think that one of the reasons talk shows don't take as many calls from callers is because they are trying to keep the young listeners around as much as possible. And they're doing that by communicating with them in the ways that they like, Facebook and texting and so on, but also not letting on too many phone callers that make it sound like it is, the old folks' home radio hour. And I would listen to the old folks' home radio hour. I think that's a good idea. Anyway, here's the show. cBas After Dark. I'm back. It was a rough time sort of when I wasn't able to do the show, and it sucked, and I missed not being able to do it. And I didn't realize I was missing it until I had stopped doing it, So I'm really glad to be able to be back and to try and do creative shit, as stupid as it might seem. And deal with stuff that bother me, like this reflection here. I don't like that. Maybe I can sort of, oh, I see. If I do like that, it kind of goes away. But then I have to lean in more. Anyway, what you're seeing is me actually kind of testing out the return of the show. We will do Nerd News Monday, full on 60 minutes of gadget news, nerd news, technology news, and like often scientific breakthrough news. Like that's the other thing I like, even trying to report stories that I don't always fully understand, quantum computing or other kind of very, very cutting edge scientific breakthroughs. That's what's coming tomorrow. And I don't know, I feel like I should look at some of the stories. Let's see here. I had a list. Let's see here. Let's see here. Cutting edge technologies. I don't know. I guess my list is not where I thought it was. Here's 30 cutting edge tech projects from around the world. Only I want to do search tools. And in the past month, let's say the past month. Okay, Tech Times. Drones could replace fireworks soon. Oh, interesting. Can you imagine? Not 1 or 10 or 20 drones, but like 100 drones spelling out Intel and then lighting up. Is that what that is suggesting here? The Intel CEO. He said at the 2016 CES in Las Vegas that drones will light up the skies to replace fireworks down the road. Shows that have unlimited creativity and potential and are powered by drones. Can you imagine the Disney fireworks show done on a drone dot matrix thing rather than with fireworks? That's one of the stories I'm bringing to you for damn sure. I didn't know about it until just now, but definitely. Let's see here. Fire risk, blah, blah, blah. These are not even some of the super cutting edge things. Let's see, what is this? Oh, the robot maids of the future. Definitely I'm going to be talking about this. I have a video of Asimo, the Japanese robot from Honda, that I show my students very regularly. Whenever the topic comes around to anything robotic, I instantly am like, I want a robot, and this is the robot I want. Because it shows, I may have even shown it on this program. It shows the robot like welcoming the reporter as the guy walks into the building and the robot walks up to him, facially recognizes him, and then leads him to the area where he's supposed to go. Takes drink orders, brings the drinks. You know, what this says is that, oh, look, Maru Z. This is kind of a... Let's just watch this. Full screen is unavailable. God damn it. Okay, hang on. Let's watch this. Okay. So this is this robot, I guess, walking over to the microwave and opening it. I mean, it seems like it's incredibly slow. Obviously, they're going to have to work on the speed. And I know that's complaining about something really miraculous in a really kind of shitty way. So I apologize for that. Like, I totally am conscious of that. But at the same time, this is a little on the slow side to really be feasible, I feel like. Don't you? Now that's him picking up a regular cup of coffee, not kind of a tray of a specially designed tray or anything like that. And here the robot's turning around and has a slice of toast in one hand and I guess a hot cup of coffee in the other. Oh, I see. He puts the toast into the basket, and then the other robot picks up the basket. Does it spill the coffee? I feel sure it would spill the coffee. And they have him dressed, at least they have the woman robot dressed like a woman in a dress with like a tie. And the guy drinks out of the cup and eats the piece of toast, and it's like everybody takes a robotic bow, and that's really great. I don't know. I love the LED light up eyes, though. I do love that. I love anything LED light up, and I may actually be trying to improve the lighting of this using some LED strips that I have. Okay, well, that was a little bit anticlimactic, but at the same time, I liked it. All right, anyway. Can I not get any channels to play? God damn it. What a great demonstration this turned out to be, that not only is it not working, but it's like not even working a little. But ultimately, yeah, we'll polish it up. We'll get things working, and we'll bring it back to you on the true first the first actual broadcast of the show in 2016, which is tomorrow. The date will be technically the 19th because it will be midnight West Coast time. So we're going to be technical about the date, and not that it is going to matter for anybody but people in Hawaii. But I'm just going to kind of give the date of the show as I refer to the show, and from here and going forward, on the technical date, meaning since it's midnight California time, just about everywhere else in the world, it will be true. And then if you happen to be in Hawaii or one of the time zones in between, you will have to sadly do that math. Deduct 1 day from any descriptions or mentions of a show date to get the actual show that you want. And that's the Happy User's Guide to using Sebastian After Dark. I'm Sebastian. It is about 56 minutes after 8 a.m. GMT. It is about 4 minutes to 1 a.m. here on the West Coast. So I'm going to say goodnight, and we will see you 23 hours and 4 minutes from now on cBas After Dark. Thanks for being here. Good night.